Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Chatting Shit about the Commander Cup. Really glad to have Jan back on. Thought he did an excellent job last time, and begrudgingly, I'm also joined by Dan and Matt, who gave me a bit of a hard time with Drapion, who I'm still not quite. I've not quite forgiven him yet, but we get there. How is everyone?
Good, thanks, Matt.
Matt, thanks for having us. And it's nice to know there's a reason why I've been demoted from guest host to just guest now is because of the Drapion attack. But I
mean, you brought it on
enough.
yourself. You brought it on yourself.
It hurt his feelings, Dan.
It did. Public humiliation. But anyway, we'll forgive it. Yeah, really excited about this cup. I think it looks really good. First impressions from you guys?
Refreshing change. Something a bit different to work with, but one big yellow-nosed Pokemon that's going to be a pain there.
Yeah. I think it's good to go back to a type cup, but with a twist.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because the type cups did get a little bit old, and this has got that little bit of a twist with the commanders. And yeah, I'm liking the look of it so far, but then again, I say that every month.
So do I. So, yeah, that's it.
This is going to be the month. It's all going to be different. It's going to be meta everywhere. And then we end up going, it's Hypno and Talonflame. Yeah, yay.
Woo!
I have no shame in bigging up Talonflame a month before it became a problem. I'm just going to say that right there.
That's true.
It's because of your video, or Matt's video, sorry, with you with Talonflame. I started running it in that cup and was like, it's amazing. Did really well with it, and then everybody's using it the next month, and it's like, no, I don't like it anymore.
That's it.
This kind of works. I did a job. I'm just going to say that. That's what I'm saying it. But
you made it meta.
I have to agree about this cup though. Like, it looks, in my opinion, this is how a mandatory restrictive list should be implemented. I think it was just not necessarily it was too wide open with Prismatic. It was just, I don't think it was calculated quite well enough, because they were just some of the slots were just so obvious that there was only one or two picks.
Your restrictions were restricted. So
there's obviously the design is to make it a bit more open, but try and promote creativity, but it just went completely the wrong way, and I think that's why we ended up with a lot of the RPS that we did. I think there was a bit of the community and a bit of a lack of foresight on Silph.
So what you're saying is Prismatic was communism. Great idea on paper, but just didn't really work.
Perhaps. But what we have now is neo-communism, in that we have a little bit more freedom in the choice, but we're still having to do partially what we're told.
Yes.
That's always a good thing.
Not the route I was looking to go down tonight, gents.
But no, that is a good thing though, because we had so much freedom in Labyrinth, and look what happened. We all ended up with 5 of the same 6 months anyway. So, might be a bit of a good thing. We'll get started then. I'm first tonight with my first true PvP love, Venusaur. I spoke about it before in Nightfall, went on a bit of a rant about it, so I'm going to try and be a little bit more reserved about it this time. But what I think is interesting about it this time is that we have a new grass poison that's meta relevant to compare it to a little bit in Roserade. Obviously, Roserade's got new toy syndrome. What's the bullet seed, weather ball, and then leaf storm.
Leaf storm one.
Oh yeah, leaf storm. I did forget about leaf storm. I was just thinking of going straight blade, but
well,
is it grass knot? Sorry,
grass knot.
Yeah.
With a dazzling gleam.
Or gleam.
Well, do you know what? My initial thought here was that grass knot might be better on Roserade in terms of making it reliable at doing the things you want it to do, because it allows it to go into 2s matchups without having to bait, versus things like Sudowoodo, versus things like Empoleon as well. But I mean, that's sort of neither here nor there. What I'm going to go into now is assuming Leaf Storm, right? Now, the big draw of Leaf Storm is that it's a massive hit, and Roserade is really attack weighted, similar stat distribution to Haunter, to give it a bit of context. So you'd expect Roserade to pick up a lot more zeros wins than Venusaur, or perhaps, well, certainly I would. So I did a quick sim against the prismatic meta, the 28 that PvP picked out. In the zeros, the things that Venusaur beats that Roserade doesn't are Gallade and Steelix, so perhaps not massively meta-relevant threats, but they're there.
There's gonna be someone with a Steelix.
There is.
There always
is. It's not a bad shout, Steelix, really, considering how just strong it is.
Yeah,
I quite like Steelix, but it's always in the shadow of Stunfisk, isn't it? Is the problem, but not.
We might see it shine here.
No Stunfisk.
Yeah, but Roserade picks up, as you'd expect, it picks up a Escavalier, it picks up Venusaur, and other than that, it picks up Crustle, and that's it in the zeros. In ones with no baits, things that Venusaur picks up that Cradily doesn't, that Roserade doesn't. Cradily, Crustle, Gengar, Alolan Golem, Lapras, Munchlax, Shiftry, and Sudowoodo. All things Venusaur beats in the ones that Roserade doesn't without baits.
Which are all more meta-relevant, really. I mean, I know it's first day syndrome, first day for us, second day for other people, but they're, from first impressions, they are much more.
List.
Yeah, it's a big list.
And in the ones that Roserade picks up that Venusaur doesn't, Escavalier and Venusaur. I mean, feels like a good trade-off to me. But that's without baits, so you might argue that with Leaf Storm and Weather Ball, Roserade functions better with baits factored in. With baits factored in, all that Roserade picks up that Venusaur doesn't pick up, in addition to Escavalier and Venusaur, are Dewgong and Steelix, which are, good pickups again, but that it doesn't come anywhere near that big long list of things, in my mind.
Now let's just assume 1 second you're not a crazy bastard and are running Lime Whip. You're not running Razor Leaf there, so let's just make sure we're saying that.
We'll get this clear.
No Razor Leaves.
No Razor Leaves.
No Razor Leaves.
Flashing message at the start. I think. No Razor.
No charm.
And it's a similar story in twos as well. With no baits, Venusaur's picking up that Roserade isn't. Cradily, Crustle, Dewgong. This is all rank ones, so Dewgong's a bit iffy. Venusaur, so Venusaur's picking up Cradily, Crustle, Dewgong, Empoleon, Alolan Golem, Lapras, Poliwrath, Shiftry, and Toxicroak, which is nice. Again, all Roserade's picking up that Venusaur isn't is Venusaur and Escavalier. And if you turn baits on, so if you're getting to go for 2 Weather Ball baits and get 2 Weather Ball baits, you'll pick up Crustle, Venusaur, Escavalier, and Haunter.
Some pretty good stats on him there.
Yeah, so I mean, unless your build is looking really, really weak to Escavalier, I think I'm struggling to see an argument for Roserade, personally. I've spoken about why Roserade's shit rather than why Venusaur's good. Yeah,
just compared the two of them, really.
Fair, everyone should know why Venusaur's good by now. But if you don't,
he's still around. There's been grass types come and go. Venusaur's still your go-to guy. It's like grass is in the meta. Pick Venusaur. Is the best at what he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Roserade is attractive though. Just to do a counter argument, just because I suppose you've got to look at what the Weather Ball's actually going to pick up, and there are certain ones. I mean, the Frostlass match, which I can see Frostlass being people's ghost of choice in this cup. And the Venusaur Frostlass match, as we all know, is very iffy. It's very IV dependent. It can go either way. And that's maybe where your Weather Ball could help you out, potentially. No?
Not so much. It's
and you've not got that many steals, so what does Weather Ball actually give you apart from Venusaur itself?
Well, I suppose that's the thing. If you know Venusaur, it's going to be such a massive threat, and you're not necessarily building the rest of your team around it. It's just that classic thing like what Shiftry used to do, or still does in a way, is a grass that beats other grass. So same like with Ferrothorn, right? But you, with the kind of the commander setup, like you might want a grass that beats another grass, but at the end of the day, you might want to use your commander slot for something else, right? So then, what options do you have? And then maybe that's where you get in, is like, because Bullet Seed Weather Ball is kind of ridiculous in terms of like the level of spam. I've run into quite a few of them in remix, and it's just so frustrating. It's like, I'll definitely get to my charge move, and then you don't. And it's just like, what do I need to do? But then, and now obviously with Leaf Storm as well, Bullet Seed Leaf Storm is just insane. And I can't even imagine how much like it's going to do to some of like some core picks that were considered a bit bulkier. I mean, I got hit by a Leaf Storm on my Snorlax earlier from a Ludicolo, and it went from full health to probably like that much. It's like, you know, like probably the equivalent of 20 health on a Snorlax, right? And I was just like, this is ridiculous. So my Snorlax is a rank 33, so it's like bulky as in addition to being a Snorlax, and I was just like, this isn't fun. This is from a Ludicolo. So like that, it's just it kind of, to me it sounds like it's going to be it could be something a bit like Talonflame syndrome in terms of like Brave Bird hurts. Leaf Storm is going to hurt no matter what whether it could be a steel, like you could have like, I guess if there was a pure steel, which obviously there isn't in this thing, but like something that's going to resist it very heavily, it's still not going to be like being hit by a Leaf Storm, right? So that's the way that I kind of see it, and I'd be very tempted to shield whenever I see a Roserade that's gone above 3 bullet seeds or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Sorry, it comes around a lot sooner than you think. The Leaf Storm, it hits like an absolute truck. So yeah, it's got like some good potential as a just a one-shot nuking and then run, throw the bomb and get out of there before, because is it 2-stage drop on his attack as well with it.
Yeah.
So he's going to be worth nothing after that. So yeah, Leaf Storm, hit him and run.
Yeah.
Even after that 2-stage, if you manage to bank enough energy, maybe you get a farm down on something else. Like even a 2-stage debuff Leaf Storm, we know from Overheat, like a two stage debuff Overheat still wrecks. Like if you get that from like a Charizard or Kanto Ninetales from Vortex, perhaps, like those still really hurt. So it's like you could even just like go ham and be like, right, I don't care that I've lost attack. You're still going to get hit by this, right?
Fully committed to it at that point.
Destroy.
Is the credence of running it then without the weather ball and running it with the grass knot as your bait?
Go triple grass move.
Yeah,
potentially.
Whoa, now that is spicy.
I'm just, while we're talking about, I know we're not meant to be talking about this. We're talking about Venusaur, Pokédex number 3, but. Like that in there. But is there a credence for running that? Because if we're saying there's no advantage of weather ball, then what's the point in it? Because at least the grass knot's going to hurt stuff.
Because in my mind, you run Roserade because you want to pick up a Scavalier, and actually the 2-stage debuff after so 2 Leaf Storms is still, I think it's 7.5% more powerful than 2 Frenzy Plants, even with the second one debuffed. So you're not actually missing out on that power. I mean, you're missing out on the power if they shield the first one, but even then, I think it was like the first Leaf Storm's 130 base power compared to a Frenzy Plant's 100, and the second one's 86 or 85 or something like that. So even that's
total, it's still doing a lot.
Yeah, even that's still 85% of a Frenzy Plant, and Roserade's hitting harder than Venusaur anyway. So realistically, yeah. But no, I think my thing here is that because there's not much fire around, like there's the reliable fire type is AWAC, which is a restricted pick. There's no Skarmory around. There's no there's ice types around, but Frostlass, we know that matchup's dodgy from previous experience. Alolan Ninetales has to be really quick to switch in because the Sludge Bomb will one-shot it, Weather Ball won't. There's no Alolan Sandslash.
Jugon's got that water as well, so
yeah. There's very few bits there's very few things here that really wall grass. I think you'll have Noctowl, which walls it, which again is restricted. you'll have Golbat, which walls it, which Roserade's not doing much work against either. Yeah, it's really reliable. Hypno, because of that extra bulk, you're not going to get confusion down before getting to, if the Hypno switching in, you might get 2 Frenzy Plants, because that Hypno's not going to want to waste energy throwing whatever punch it might run to try and take that last 30% of your health before you get another Frenzy Plant on. So
he just wants confusion all the way down and bank that energy for the next mon.
Yeah, I think we could end up seeing a lot of teams here where, well, I don't know. It's early doors, isn't it? Because ultimately, Escavalier, Noctowl, and Marowak all shut it down, and that's 30% of the restricted pick pool. So, but that's 70% of teams that it's not going to see its biggest counters against. I'm sure it won't work out that way because things will be more popular than others, won't they? But I think it could be a good early doors front runner for Prime safe swap in this cup, personally. I know
Doesn't quite like a safe swap.
How is Roserade doing though over Alolan Muck? Because I've got a funny feeling he may surface a bit.
So my Sims didn't pick up that Roserade was picking up versus Muck, but actually Venusaur, in my experience, versus Alolan Muck isn't that bad anyway.
No.
So it's a close loss.
Do you think Alolan Muck is going to be picked up by a lot of people? I do think it's going to be something that is going to feature as more as the month goes on. People are going to want that Hypno counter, and depending on what commander you're choosing, that kind of picks up stuff that you're not going to get from elsewhere. It's sort of in a limited pool, really.
Has pretty decent play against a lot of the commanders, though. There's only a few of them that I'd say which it can do nothing to, and I think some of those are actually probably less likely to be bit. For example, Steelix. As much as I would like Steelix to be meta, I don't think we're going to see a lot of it at all. So I think Amok was one of those ones that I thought of really early on as well.
He's one of my highlighted mons of it could work quite well because it's the Hypno show. It's going to be there. You've got to stop him.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what he's going to throw at you. What punches he's going to throw, what balls, Psyshocks. Who knows what he's going to throw. You've just got to shut him down. So I was looking at Alolan Muck mainly for that reason.
Yeah.
How quick can Venusaur beat off of? Well, how long can it stay in against Alolan Muck, Matt?
I'm not sure, but with two Violet leads, you'll win zeros. I'm almost certain.
Right now.
I'm not prepared for that question.
It's weird having 2 Matts on the show as well. It's kind of confusing. I'm saying Matt, and then Matt's going and
then... Well, I'm sure we'll get better as the episode goes on. I'm sure we'll,
Either that or descend into chaos. So one or the other.
One way or the other. Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Wait, I'm just going to change these to rank 1s just to be certain. But apparently Venus will just win zeros anyway. So
really?
I can't remember.
Sludge Wave won't kill, and you'll be getting to the
the second
Frenzy Plants faster, or you'll be winning CMP or something. Yeah, it's not a good matchup for Muck at all.
Yeah, so does it get Muck usually dies with the Dark Pulse?
Yeah,
that would kill you. So.
And usually Muck's being switched into the Venusaur as well, so it's behind on the energy as well.
So... People think that he's going to do better because he should resist the grass. Frenzy Plants OP. It just chunks him. Yeah. So.
Yeah, similar. It's a similar story to the Frostlass matchup, innit?
Yeah. Play that matchup all the time, nearly in GBL or anything, any cups. Catacombs was one, Venusaur, Frostglass, like back in season 2. So it's, yeah, if Frostglass takes the Frenzy Plant, it's going to hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, I feel like we spent a while talking about Venusaur, so should we move on to Jan's pick?
Okay. So I've been told this might potentially be the pick, to be honest, of any meta. So I thought I should build it up a little bit. I've looked at this meta. I've done some thinking. I'm just thinking, I'm happy to be able to use a counter user again. So I'm looking down the list and my eye falls upon this little treat, and I just decided, you know what, this is going to be the time. So I've decided this time to go along with Pokedex entry number 185, the imitation Pokemon Sudowoodo. And I believe that it is tradition that I have to do the voice. Is this correct?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Well, in true professional style. Well, where's my water gun? I'll just prepare my vocal cords.
I'm going to do the exercises in a second.
It's all for the content, dear. So, right, ready? This is going to be absolute trash. That's all you get. Anyway, you can contact the manager through the following number. Parties. So yeah, to be a little bit more serious, I guess. Like I immediately looked at the meta and was thinking, from a lot of what can be chosen from, particularly from the commanders, there's a lot of like classic kind of PvP Pokemon in there, which are always going to be popular, whether they are necessarily the right choice or not. They are the right choice for certain people. So like Pokemon like Shiftry is always going to be popular. I think in this meta, not so much, but it's not as useful perhaps. But Alona Marowak will always rear its bony head because everyone loves that bloody thing. I used to, and then I was like, I don't want to be one of those people anymore. So, but it has a role in the meta. Let's be fair. Again, like Pokemon like Empoleon, there's quite a few steel types rocking around in there. So I just thought, actually, what's a Pokemon which can use counter to kind of like do damage to some of the steels, but also cover things like Marowak and also things like Noctowl, because someone's going to throw a Noctowl in somewhere because, why not? I just think rock coverage is really good here. There's a lot of things that can be hit by for neutral or super effective. Sudowoodo actually hits pretty decently. Stab Rock Slide is pretty good. And it also allows you to kind of free up the commander slot for something else. Because I was originally looking at Escavalier. I think Escavalier could have a lot of play in this meta, actually. But there is that pesky kind of 4 times weakness to fire, which will inevitably rock up. So I was like, how do I get around that? And I use something else because I think there's better commander options personally. So that's what I went with. So, it's just so much fun to play. It's just a fun Pokemon. Like, I don't think anyone can really. If you've used it, you know how good it is. I've wanted to use it for a few metas now. I've just not really been able to build something that I like around it. But I think it's really got a chance to shine here, potentially. Fortunately, for my segment, I guess, it's quite straightforward. There's not like any shenanigans than like my last appearance on this show. They're looking at you, Wizcash, dying to straight flame charge. So it's another one of those things that actually beats a lot of what you expect, what you want it to be, right? So I'm just going to quickly go through here, like, some unsurprising things like Steelix. What a troublesome thing that will be. This is all in ones with the standard moveset of Counter, Rock Slide, Earthquake. I guess one of the really nice things about Sudowoodo is that you're just going to typically throw Rock Slides most of the time anyway, so you don't really have to worry about bait shenanigans either, it's just a simple kind of, I don't have to worry about things, I just click Rock Slide and fire counters. Like, yeah, it beats Noctowl, like I say. Ones beats Lola Ninetales very easily, which I think is also going to be another big thing in this cup. Like, everybody loves Weather Ball, and it wasn't available in the last cup, and we all know how popular it was in Labyrinth.
Everybody's going to want to bring it straight back, aren't they? That's like 11 Ninetales, let's bring him in.
But it's terrible for the meta. I don't care. It's amazing.
Weather balls.
What's your second move? I don't care. It's just weather ball, weather ball.
There is none. Save the dust. Weather ball.
Exactly. Just a single move Ninetales. That's the recommendation for me. On to the next one. Anyway, so yeah, Ninetales that beats Munchlax, I think, is going to be a really big one because I think we're just going to get a mimic of a lot of. There's going to be a lot of mimicry of that classic Lax Hypno core from Prismatic, and also just generally speaking, that's a really strong core, and a lot of Meza has been available. So yeah, you can have a lot of play against Munchlax, which I think is going to be a big thing. Yeah, beats Alolan Muck, beats Marowak, which is a big one. You know, Lapras I think could be a big one as well. So all that fun stuff. Similar story within a lot of the twos. You know, you beat Euclid, like a lot of those same things. So nothing too complicated. There's a few matchups which go in a flip in terms of like if you go from ones to twos, which you might not expect at first glance. So there's a little bit of shenanigans. Though it wouldn't be one of my things without like second thoughts. So initially looking at it, Alolan Ninetales actually looks to be a loss, but you can actually flip that with. I did actually have some notes. So if you ran into it in a lead, you might be in trouble. But actually, if you get just 2 counters, elite energy lead, then you get to the second rock slide very easily, and then bye-bye, which is great. And you don't have to worry about, it's like not even IV dependent. You can actually win most of these matchups with an average Sudowoodo. You don't even need a good one, so which is another really cool thing. So if you've got one lying around, go ahead. Another really interesting one, yeah, Lapras in twos, same type of thing. Like Lapras should win in the twos, but if you get 2 counters lead, if you do some switch shenanigans, then you win it that way. But you can also just go straight counter, and you will have to burn 2 shields, but you'll come out with a ton of energy and actually a fairly decent amount of health because you're not taking super effective ice damage. It's another weird thing with like Shiftry and the wands, where PvPoke suggests that you could possibly lose that, but you're throwing a rock slide for some reason.
Yeah.
Just go straight counter.
Yeah.
Shield
Count them
once.
through that. Yeah.
You get 98 energy at the end of it, and a pretty healthy Sudowoodo. So throw rock slides, throw an earthquake. Who cares? Another rogue one, actually, where 1 counter flips it is Bronzong in twos, because I think Bronzong could be a rogue choice this month as well, because you know Payback is a shiny new toy.
All right. Okay.
So another interesting one, Escav, it can beat in ones if it gets 1 counter, which I think is pretty big. Just because you'd expect like Escav just to destroy it, but if you get that 1 counter extra, which could also, let's not forget, if you slip one through on their drill run, because they're going to run drill run, right? So if you just sneak one through, then you get to the second rock slide first to annihilate them essentially, which is great. Empoleon's a really fun one where you can actually win that with the 1 counter, and if you decide just to shield and go straight counter without any energy advantage, you simultaneously KO. If you want to play that kind of matchup, so they play against Empoleon, which I thought was a really fun one. Yeah, you can also, again, going back to the 2 counters, I know I'm jumping back and forth, I do apologise. 2 counters, energy lead, you can flip Credillia in the ones, which I think is pretty cool as well. Marowak in twos, you need 2 counters to be able to get through the bone clubs. And then other interesting stuff which might be Crustle, which could potentially see some play this month maybe. That one matchup depends on what fast move Crustle is running, so whether it's Smackdown versus Fury Cutter, that remains to be seen. But if it's running Smackdown, then you win easily. Fury Cutter not so much, unfortunately. And then Alolan Golem was the last one that I wanted to kind of point out as a bit of an interesting one. Alolan Golem has to bait to beat you. If it doesn't, it has to bait with the Rock Blast. It can't go. It does not go. If it goes Wild Charge, then if it goes straight Wild Charge, if there's any counter slips through, it loses too much HP and dies.
Wow!
Oh wow! And Rock Blast is a really bad move. Really bad move.
It's an awful move.
I spent a lot of time just figuring this sim out because I know there was like weird stuff in the Talonflame one last time, and I couldn't get it to a point where double Wild Charge works. So I'm fairly convinced that it has to Rock Blast at least once to get you. And I don't think I'll double check, but I don't think that 1 Wild Charge kills you anyway. So you could potentially tank the Wild Charge potentially. But I'm going to check that. but yeah, that was another really cool thing. Basically, it's a pretty simple Pokemon, which I think is going to have a lot of power this month. Has some really interesting matchups, and you can do you can do some shenanigans because I love shenanigans. So yeah, that's my pitch for Sudowoodo this month. I'm going to stop now. So
I was going to say, do you need a drink of water now, mate? Because you have just talked. Literally, you can see me and Matt going like that. Waiting to jump in, waiting to go. Yeah, but he did appear in Catacombs. It did. And we all
already been good.
One move. You don't need to spend that 50k dust. You don't.
You don't.
You can, and if you get one as a baby, you could spend it really cheaply and still use it because you can just evolve it, and it's nice. It's okay.
What can I say? I love being thorough. I love getting the information out there. I love to educate and entertain. Yeah. It's been great. Thank you. Sorry.
How does he do against the grasses, though? After all those stats, grass, where is it?
I'll tell you what, Roserade matchup, trash, dies. Venusaur also dies. Basically, don't run it against grass unless you're a madman.
You know what, though? I'm pretty sure it beats Roserade in wands if Roserade goes straight leaf storm.
Ooh. Well,
I'm pretty sure it does.
Now there's a sim you could try.
Don't try this at home. Oh, right, okay. Where is it? There we go. So, if it goes, we'll try it with the trash Sudowoodo as well.
Roll, please.
So, with that.
I'm not. I've got a really good Sudowoodo, so.
Yeah, if it has to throw a weather ball and get the bait, otherwise it will die. That's so yeah. So. More shenanigans.
More shenanigans.
More shenanigans.
So I feel like by not only is Venusaur a good man, but because Sudowoodo is so good, there's another reason to run Venusaur over Roserade. So we haven't planned this, but
it's not a competition, Matt. It's not a competition.
This is the thing. I think for potential. Well, I need to double check it, but it's one of those things that I think Sudowoodo, if it ever comes up against Venusaur, is probably going to want to hit it with Earthquake.
Yeah.
Whereas Roserade can get away with just throwing the rock slides, where it doesn't, and it just doesn't quite do enough for Venusaur to really, especially with the resisted. I know Roserade resists the counters as well, but it's made of paper, so. Yeah, I guess that's another thing for Venusaur, as we say there. So run Venusaur. Run another Venusaur segment. There we go. So
Sudowoodo. See, the reason I like Sudowoodo, because I've been looking at him like quite a bit as well today. He is the counter user that is not going to get deleted by Hypno, because the other counter user that is going to be up there on everybody's list is going to be Toxicroak. Is the counter user that's going to delete Sudowoodo unless you land the Earthquake. But yeah, Sudowoodo is going to hit that counter damage, hit the pump out rock slides, and Hypno isn't going to come into him. And you've got the nuke Earthquake if you're going to be expensive and run the double move. So you can hit Hypno pretty hard, and he's just going to sit there and take whatever punches he wants to throw at you. And then you can either build up energy, swap out, then come back in later, throw a rock slide that you've saved up, or come in when shields are down, Earthquake. That's game sometimes. So yeah, Sudowoodo is going to be a big pick this month, definitely.
Yeah.
I agree with.
Oh, go on, mate.
Sorry, Matt. Go on.
No, go on. I was gonna change topics a bit. So go on.
Oh right, I do agree with Matt there. I do think it's not just because of the Hypno thing, which I do think is going to be big, because everyone's still going to have one from last month, and unlike me, other people are not going to be fed up at the sight of Hypno.
I hate him. Like such a
really
ugly Pokemon. Like he's really creepy. Never liked him.
Unless you've got a shiny one, then it's pretty cool. But...
even still, I've got 3 shinies, and no.
All flex.
Shadow shiny as well.
Same.
You know what? I've not even built it, so but I discussed that last month. I've not built it because I got a better rank, normal shiny one, shadow one. Sorry. I looked at when I was looking at building my team. I sort of built my team backwards. I didn't start with the commander. I started with the other players and then thought I'll fill in from the back end with the commander and see what I need. Yeah. And I think Sudowoodo's got loads of play here. I do think he is the meta choice for a Pokemon because it, just as you said, the many things that you've listed, Jan, that it beats, which makes all my notes completely meaningless because you've listed everything in the world. But I just see, and for me, I see it as a very, very strong lead. I think it is the type of thing that you could lead with. I know Matt's going, ooh, but I'm going to lead my Venusaur.
No. I went like that because I don't know whether any of you played Phil in the Vortex Cup with his double counter strat, but I think double counter strat could be a good thing here with Toxie and Pseudo, because when you think about it, Pseudo's picking up the Noctowls of the world, and Toxie's picking up the Venusaurs of the world. Like they have, you know, aside from doing the counter job the same, they're quite different mons. And I think there could be quite strong ABB potential here. Not that Phil's an ABB merchant, but
You know, I had to Google what ABB was. You keep on saying this all the time, and I had to Google what that means.
I asked a friend, I was like, what? when Matt's on about ABB, and all, what's that even mean?
Yeah, what's that even mean? And he just says it like we should all know. We should all know these.
Think Rat using the Quillfish lead, and then the Muck to draw out the Charmer, and then your Alolan Raticate runs through the back. I think that's Rat Strat. Right. There we go.
I heard a new one the other day.
What was that strat again? Just so I can write that down for next time.
Rat Strat.
Anything else you wanted to touch on about Sudowoodo, Jan?
No, like I say, I was simply. It was just one of the first things that like popped out when I looked at it, and was like, I think you're right. There could be potential play for double counter. And I was also thinking, like, I know no one really, the whole Hypno thing. One of the things is that you could if you see Toxie is an option. If you could run a Pseudo Hypno core, the Pseudo could come out as a switch to bait out Toxie if the Toxie wants to delete it, and there's loads of free energy there. And we all know Hypno with energy is no fun. Some energy. I
said Toxie takes like what 2 to 3 confusions.
But as my practice today found out, that's all you need sometimes.
Yep.
So it's I think it's got a lot of flexibility as well. So, but you know, I've said my piece. I'm going to have some more water. So.
Well, in that case, then let's move on to Dan's pick then.
Okay, so my pick is Pokédex number 164, which is Noctowl. I don't know what Pokemon Noctowl is, if it's got a special thing or anything like that, like a mimic in Pokemon, and I don't know what it sounds like, so I'm going to pretend that it sounds like this. Noctowl. That's what I'm pretending it sounds like. In my head, it sounds like Noctowl.
Is it wearing a top hat?
It could be wearing a top hat. It looked pretty good with a top hat and a monocle. You've got to admit, if you look at it,
yes, that is.
Give it a monocle,
Pokemon.
and it'd be quality. It would be absolutely quality. I'm picking Noctowl because I sort of worked backwards, as I said. Now I know you can look at it on face value that out of all the commander picks that there is, it's not the strongest. It only beats 52% of the meta in the one shields, but it does beat the likes of Jellicent, Munchlax, Marowak, and Shiftry. Like it or not, everyone's got a Marowak. Everyone's got one. And whenever it's viable, whenever it's available, people are going to pick it. And we've had a couple of cups now where it's not been. So people are going to be hankering for bringing that Marowak back. People are going to be like, yeah, I've got my Marowak. It's nice, it's safe, it's home. I know what it feels like.
We know what it does now.
Yeah, so Noctowl really comes into play there. As I said, from building my team backwards, I found that was quite a nice niche where it would fit in. I actually, when building my team, I actually did look at a Venusaur and Pseudo combo as two of the ones that I was picking, just because I felt they were quite safe and strong. I'm probably one of the only people in the world who enjoyed Catacombs Cup last year.
I loved it. It was one of my favourites as well.
See, me and Matt have got it going on. The Drapion
Yeah,
boys
that's
know
it.
what we're talking about, and we love a bit of the Pseudo.
Oh, yes.
So that's how I arrived with Noctowl. I do think for any of the series PvPers out there, they're going to think, Munchlax. And Munchlax seems to be really good in this meta. So you are going to want something that beats that. And you're not just going to want one thing that beats that, you're going to want two things that beat that. So again, that brings me back to where my Noctowl comes into play. And certainly it's sort of had a really nice feel for it and really good, kind of well. Looking at the variety it beats, surprisingly, even though it's a really bulky Pokemon, you'd think it'd be really good, but it only beats 52%, as I said, in the one shield. Only beats 26% in the zeros, but in the two shields, it actually goes up to 71%. And if you actually get an extra wing attack with that, you're at 78% of the meta that you're beating. Now, you're always going to lose to the stuff that you're going to lose to. You know, if you throw a rock at it, if you throw enough rocks at it, it's going down, and it ain't going to like a bit of electricity neither.
Or ice.
Or ice, really. But it's the other stuff that you want to hit, and I think there's plenty of variation within the meta core that you can hit them weaknesses, and you can pair it quite nicely. As I said, just as a sort of pairing idea off the top of my head is putting it with the likes of a Pseudo and putting it with a Venusaur straight away. But they're my thoughts on Noctowl. Noctowl.
What, obviously, Sky Attack is its go-to move, but what potential for Psychic and Nightshade usually, isn't it?
It is Psychic and Nightshade. I think Nightshade's gash, to be honest. I think it's an absolute atrocious move.
I don't think it's gash. I know it's gash.
And yet it's still the right choice because you can beat Bronzong in zeros with it.
Yeah.
It's the only out to Bronzong, really, isn't it?
Do you really think you're going to see Bronzong? Just because
No.
Bronzong is a commander.
I don't.
If it wasn't a commander, I'd seriously think about running it. Just because I don't want to run Hypno. I am adamant I am not going to run Hypno.
Well, I think Bronzong could pick up the Hypno with its new payback. So I'm getting a bit of a feel of there's a few picks coming in from Sorceress because that was where we'd got Noctowl, Munchlax, Bronzong, Frostglass. So there's quite a few bits of that coming in where you know that translates into this cup, I think, especially with the Munchlax, the Noctowl. They're going to be everywhere.
And let's not forget, Bronzong's going to be one of the hardest counters around to the Alolan Ninetales that everyone wants to run. So, I think
Yes.
we might see the odd one.
Well, yeah,
I think you'll see as many Steelix, to be honest.
Yeah, fair.
Make Steelix meta. Go.
Make Steelix great again.
first practice tournament, everyone runs Steve.
Yeah, my Noctowl gets absolutely messed up. Doesn't do a thing at all.
Like Thunderfang, just nom nom nom.
Well, I have similar things. I have similar feelings to you, though, Dan, about about Noctowl. I think it could end up being. I mean, I know it's not amazingly ranked on Silph or PvP at the minute, but I think it could end up being messy defining in terms of that Munchlax matchup. I think you're right. I think a lot of serious PvP players will look at it and go, right, Munchlax, and then, as you say, you're going to want two counters for that. And outside of counter users, normal types are your only other option. There's only 3 normal types in the entire cup. 2 of them are Munchlax and Noctowl. The other one's Girafarig. I don't want to say. I know Penju is a big fan, so I don't want to say too much bad about Giraffrey.
But yeah, let's not say anything good.
Let's not. I mean, we could be sat here quite a while trying to find good things to say. So,
Yellow.
Yeah, there we go. It's yellow. Awesome. It's got a brain in its tail.
Design. Great design.
Make of that what you will. But yeah, I think it could. Obviously, we've said that there's a lot of electric rock ice knocking around here. Makes Noctowl a risky pick. So I think a really solidly built Noctowl team is going to be really tough to build. It's going to be really tough to take on. I don't think it's the sort of thing you can whack onto a team willy-nilly and just think, oh, there's my Munchlax counter. I think it's the sort of thing where you need to have a proper strategy going into it to use. Personally, that's my thoughts on it.
My kind of thoughts when I was building, I built backwards and purposely said, right, I'm not going to pick a commander until the end. I'm going to look at what I want to use. And I actually started with Pseudo because I thought I want something that can hit hard. I want something that can throw rocks, and I don't want to get walled by a Hypno as soon as I see it. Which is the fear with anything that punches really, is that you're going to get melted immediately. So I started really with Pseudo, and as I said, then I progressed round it, and then it was, well, I need something else that beats Munchlax. What else beats Munchlax? And that's where I've come in with it. I don't want to blurt out my practice team that I'm going to use on Monday night.
Yeah. But
there's half of it.
there's three of them. There's one of them that may use ice as well. I'm not going to say any names or anything like that.
But it's a good partner for Pseudo in that sense that it's the second thing that beats Munchlax, but it also picks on the grass types and the toxic rogues that give Pseudo trouble. So I could see how it might be a good partner for Pseudo. Absolutely. Jan, what are you thinking?
I like Noctowl, from historical reasons, because it was the first shiny that I caught in gold way back when. So I have a lot of love for Noctowl. It's one of those things that I just wish that it could do a little bit more. Like I find that rather than being threatened by Noctowl, I'm just annoyed by it whenever I'm battling it. So, which is sometimes what you want, but half the time I'm just kind of like, oh, even when I'm using it, I'm just like, oh, I just wish that did a little bit more. Like,
Give it Aeroblast.
Yes, Aeroblast, Noctowl.
Wow.
Let's do it.
Come on.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a Pokemon where you're going to have to really build around it rather than, like you say, Matthew, just like throwing it in like willy-nilly like you can do with some of the other picks. Because you have to be really aware of what it can and can't do. I think the thing that really, well, not necessarily put me off, but like from the style of team that I want to build is that I wanted to go down the road of trying to create as much pressure, general pressure, as much as possible. I just find that Noctowl doesn't really fit that role. It's just like, I can switch it in and just do, and like, it can take hits and it will deal with the things that it needs to deal with very well. But beyond that, I felt like it wasn't putting enough general pressure on for what I wanted to kind of go and do. But that's just the team that I want to build. I also agree. Like, I think, with the Alolan Ninetales being back and everyone going to want to throw annoying weather balls, that's something of a risk. I think bulky water ices, Dugong Lapras, them being an option. They have pretty decent matchups as well with things like Munchlax would also be popular, and that's something for Noctowl to watch out for. There's a lot of, it's early days, isn't it? So definitely has a role, but I'm not quite sure. It's not quite the one for me. I think if the meta pans out in a certain way, it could be a very, very viable threat, and I might change my Munchlax to Gunk Shot just to try and annoy you.
Fair enough, and now we know which commander Jan's picking. So
actually, I've actually got 3 teams built already, so I'm not sure which one I'm going to use yet. So,
Jesus, what did you do today? Did you just sit there and build?
So you know my pitch for Sudowoodo? I did that for about 18 Pokemon for myself. So
I only did it for 3. I feel like I'm underprepared.
I've got a short list for other episodes that I'm going to work through, but no teams.
I'm going to shut up now because I'm just really talking myself into a hole, aren't I?
Yeah, it makes me wonder a bit, Noctowl, where is it? Obviously, in my mind, as Dan said, it's a big counter for the Munchlax. Is like people that like Munchlax, they're going to be in love with it, right? Is seeing the Noctowl going to be enough to put Munchlax users off actually using the Munchlax? And I think that's something we're yet to see, and I don't think it will be. And I think there's some serious advantage that could be taken there. I think you could find yourself struggling versus other teams, but I think versus Munchlax teams, you're going to be looking really, really nice. You're going to be putting them on the back foot from the very beginning. And if it does turn out that Munchlax is going to be popular, which it may or may not do, obviously it's early days, but it's number one on the PvP rankings, which always leads people in that direction, isn't it?
Everyone's going to use it.
Yeah.
You only have to look at people's spy scores to realise people pick the top 10 picks. And, maybe not people on this screen at the moment, but there are a lot of people I know who...
I'm trying to up my spice score. I've got some points. I've made some good rankings now. So up that spice score now. That's the next target.
Let that grit just drop completely. You'll get 3 chilies. I want to know when you get to 3 chilies, because I'm on like 50, 52. 50,
It'll be 66. It'll be 66.
66. Because I'm like...
Or 67.
I want to get up there. I do know somebody who is actually on 3 chilies, so
Wow.
I'm quite jealous of that.
Well, speaking of upping your spice score, then Matt, who's going to up your spice score?
Oh yes, this is it. The moment I've been waiting for. My boy, Pokedex number 248, Tyranitar. The one rock type that you need to end any flyer. He actually doesn't do bad against quite a lot of stuff that you think he'd lose against as well. So, give you a little fact here that I prepared, that Tyranitar has the only dark rock type in the entire game. Nobody shares his typing combination. So it also gives him a hell of a lot of weaknesses, but it also gets him some good resistances too. So straight up, in one shield v one shield, it's Smackdown Tyranitar. I'd love to run Bite, but you're only stopping one Pokemon, and it's just not worth it. So he beats 56% of the meta, just straight out. And if you up that to 2 shields, which is where he absolutely loves to be, that goes to 74% win rate. And if you put it to a 2 shield for you and a 1 shield for your opponent, it goes up to an 80% win rate against everything in this entire cup. So I play Tyranitar. He is my one Pokemon. I've got 4 shields in the team. That's the only way that you can play him. There is no other way, because he sees a counter user, he's gone. He sees a Razor Leafer, which don't do that.
Can't do that.
He's also gone. Sees a Charmer, he's dead. But other than that, he does put in some work. So the Munchlax, for example, everybody's going to be running it. If you get a 1 Smackdown lead, you flip that matchup. So you bring
impressive. That's like I did not know that. That's like
so he also
mega, really.
He has about quarter health left, about 25% health left. So he can still put damage down on whatever else is coming in. We've spoke about Venusaur. Now Venusaur is a crazy matchup, and you can only draw with Venusaur. Unless shields are like your opponent's shields are down, you've got 2 shields, and you can hit him with the Stone Edge. which is never going to happen. Let's face it. So at best, 2 shields to you, 1 shield to your opponent, or both 2 shield scenario, you'll draw with a Venusaur. So it's not the worst thing in the world. If you just want to commit all of your shields to one Pokemon. Looking at the Hypno, you can literally, if you want, just straight smackdown.
Yeah.
Don't even bother with the charge moves. Save it up, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to take a charge move from Tyranitar. I don't care what you are. You're not going to want to take that Stone Edge. Maybe the Crunch, you're going to resist it, but nobody's going to want to take that to the face. So you're going to get a shield straight away. So farm the Hypno down. Alolan, Marowak, everyone's going to run that. You'll farm him down. The Alolan Ninetales, you can farm down. You'll be left with next to no HP. So if anything comes in counter-wise, you're going to die before you get a chance to fire off your charge move. So you sort of no gain there. The interesting ones, though, that I personally think you might see, Lapras. So people think, your Lapras, you're bulky. If you want, you can literally, you've got to commit your shields to him, but you can just farm him down. The Smackdowns are super effective, and then you've got loads of energy. Depends on the IVs, I think, whether you'd have to double shield or single shield with the Lapras before they can fire off the Surf. This is Ice Shard Lapras, because you're not running anything else really. Dugong, you lose in straight ones, but the Dugong's got 3 HP. So again,
IVs.
what are you going to do with the 3 HP? The IVs are dependent. But if you get the two Smackdown, that will flip it. Which again, how I personally play Tyranitar is he'll come in, just farm whatever you've brought in to hurt me. He's gonna farm you down, fire energy off, and I'm gonna give him all my shields because he's the best Pokemon in the world.
Can I ask, Matt? Because I know you're a big Talonflame fan. You said earlier as well that you're a big Talonflame fan. It seems to me like he's going to play similar to Talonflame.
Yeah. You've got to go give him all the shields, give him everything he needs, set him up.
Balls deep, that's what you say.
Yeah, all the way. And that's it. You committed to him.
This is the content
when I upload to YouTube, there's a little box that I can tick that says, "Is this content made for kids?"
Yeah, I had this conversation with my kids today of like, Dad, why can't we watch you on YouTube? And I'm like, no, you can't. I actually put on an old one where I knew that we didn't swear.
Yeah.
And literally the first words were, "Welcome to chatting shit." And I'm like, my wife just looks at me like,
what are you watching?
They want to see it.
There must have been some we've done. There must have been some we've done where we've not sworn. Some of the early ones.
It was the one where I think it was the first one we did with the rat strap.
Right. Okay.
We didn't swear, and we ended up putting that one on.
And that's a glorious one, to be fair.
Yeah. So
anyway.
What we did right was and so my 4-year-old son did get to. He's a big fan of Minecraft YouTube and loves watching it, and so
I have that in my house as well.
Yeah, so
yeah. Sorry, Matt. We've got off topic there a bit.
Yeah, we've got off. Matt,
yeah.
What does Tyranitar sound like though? That's what we want to know.
Hang on, 1 minute. I wasn't prepared. Go on, I'm just going raw. It'd be like that. Definitely be like that.
Yes.
There we go.
Big fan. Big fan.
He's cool. He is literally the best Pokemon. When they made Pokemon, they should have just stopped at him because it didn't get any better.
I mean, he doesn't like getting punched.
No,
he really,
not at all.
really doesn't like getting punched. But we all know how good a move Smackdown is if you use it in the correct way.
Oh yeah.
It just hurts everything. It doesn't generate that much energy, I suppose, really. But again, we found
energy. I think
recently with Crustle and things like that, running the Smackdown variant of that has been very useful and very hard hitting. Certainly, as you said, like me wanting to run a Noctowl, you're knocking me out of the water as soon as I see it. If I've got my Noctowl in there and you just switching that Tyranitar, there's no sort of situation where I'm coming out on top at all.
No, it resists everything that you can throw at him in that situation.
It's not the most versatile mod, though. It's not got that kind of like... It's not as fluid and, it only does the jobs it does.
Yeah.
So you do have to protect around it, don't you?
Absolutely.
I think you might end up seeing teams where you'll beat 4 things with it, and that makes mons really useful. You see that? I think if you've got teams where, let's say you've got Noctowl, Hypno, and Lapras, that's half of you. That's half of your team there. And then if there's one thing beyond that, let's say you might have a Gengar or a Haunter. People love running Gengar and Haunter. What else might people doing?
Well, the jellyfish thing, Jellicent. He's got to land the one crunch. So in the one shields, Smackdown, crunch. You get to the second crunch, and you've got like less than a 30 of health. You got about 37, 38 HP left. So.
Yeah, because he's not frail enough where a resisted Shadow Ball or even a super effective Bubble Beam is going to do a lot. Like, he's not actually that frail, is he?
No. People don't give him as much credit. They think that, if you see a counter user, he's going to die. But if he resists you, so like Psychic, Ghost, he hardly takes any damage from you at all. So you can just sit and Smackdown's hurting them a damn sight more than what they're hurting you.
Absolutely.
Especially that Hypno.
So this is the strat. This is the strat, isn't it? Just beat Hypno. Just beat Hypno.
Worry about the rest after. However,
in before we see Focus Blast Hypno become meta.
I'm going to shame myself a little bit because, like most of you seem to have said tonight, you've picked your mon, worked backwards, then to your captain, commander. I'm the same. Tyranitar's my boy. He's my focus, and I build around him. So I've done that for a few cups, and people love to see Tyranitar when you always get a, why are you throwing that in? What? It's the best Pokemon. What? I don't need to defend it.
Both me and Matt Brewer have ran Tyranitar in different cups though recently, haven't we? I think in the gym metas, and I think in practice tournaments for. Yeah. Was it Nightfall?
Yeah.
I think we both ran it in Nightfall in a practice.
I ran it in Vortex practice. But I've used it back. I used it properly in season 1 twice in 2 different cups. I think it's a seriously underrated mon. Really, genuinely, I think it's. I'm not sure this is the meta for it. I'll be completely honest, but if you can make it work, I think it's as valid a pick as anything. I think it's massively slept on. Yeah,
this is it. People don't understand his matchups, and I've studied Tyranitar for every cup I've ever had him in. I'm confident with him. I know what he can do. Yeah. I can bring him in, do the job. He's got 4 shields around him. We're all good.
Big note for anyone: go to Mansfield this tournament. Take 2 fighters with you.
And I'm running.
You've got to do it.
There it is.
Yeah. Maybe I might have to run something to stop that. Putting this out there.
You know who's going to enjoy Tyranitar? Now Crawdon isn't eligible.
Oh yeah.
I think Jay could might end up with Tyranitar, but that's.
I think he should. Everyone should run him. I don't see a negative.
I just love that everyone. Everyone.
He was perfection as a Pokemon. He looks like Godzilla. Godzilla's king of the monsters. He's king of the Pokemon. Done.
And he walls it now. And he walls it now. Which is at the end of the day what we all want. But,
Yeah, really.
Cool. Well, let's leave it there then. While we're on a note of agreement, I think that's probably a good place to leave it. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, guys. Top discussion.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Thanks for having us, Matt. It's always a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Good to get back into it. It's been I missed it a bit last month, I'll be honest, but yeah, I wasn't planning on doing the 5th one, but I did miss it, and I really wanted to talk about Milotic. So, but yeah, this is
why not?
Yeah, looking forward to this. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Catch you later.
Thanks,
See
Matt.
you later.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bit in.
Venusaur.
Just like one of those like splicings where it's just your face right at the camera, like Venusaur.
Yes.
Then cut back to everyone saying goodbye.
Yeah, bye.